Hello and welcome. Now, I'm doing this video primarily for AK, as he asked me how to download mods for ETS2 and ATS, but I'm going to make the video public just in case there's anyone out there who doesn't know and would like to. So there are two ways that I know of doing it. And the first way is that you go into Steam here and you go to the game that you're wanting to do it for, and then you go to, and it works this way for ATS and ETS2, both of them the same. You go into Community Hub, okay, and then you go Workshop. And in the Workshop here, is it Workshop I want? Yes, it is Workshop I want. And then you can go Browse, I think it is. Well, anyway, here's the like items that you can download. There's all different sorts of things there. There's skins, there's vehicles. You can choose something here, like if you know what you're wanting. You can also type in keywords. So let's say, for example, I wanted to. You've probably all seen the Coca-Cola Christmas paint jobs on trucks before in Coca-Cola advertising. So if I wanted a paint job for that, I can put Coca-Cola in there. And there you go, it brings up all the things to do with Coca-Cola. In the same way, let's say I wanted to turn my truck into back from Lightning McQueen, then I could write in here Lightning McQueen, and there it brings up paint jobs for me to do that. Okay, and you don't have to put in any search terms. You can go down here, choose a brand or the kind of parts you're looking for. You exclude different. You've got like some of these will take certain DLC packs. So you can. I haven't bothered doing this, but you could go in and take out all the ones you haven't got, and just add in the ones that you have got, so then it will only show you mods that are compatible with what you own. But if you did that, of course, you'd have to go and update it every time you buy a new DLC pack. So that's one way of doing it. Now, when you go into one of these, so here's a car, for example. Okay, you go in and you go add to collection. Okay, if you wanted to use that car there, you just choose to add it to your collection. Now the second way of doing it, okay, and I don't use this other way very often. I prefer to do things just using the workshop there, but I could go in to just Google ETS2 mods, and let's say I want to download a Porsche. I can do that, and here we go, and it will find me a mod here. Come on. And doing it this way will take you to a mod there, and you have a download. Okay, so you go in here and download it. Now, if you just download it that way, it's very, very similar to Farming Sim in that after you've downloaded it, just get rid of that. You go in here to your downloads folder, and the ones that you download not from that workshop that I just showed you will be in your download folder here. You then copy them. You either copy or cut, whichever you prefer. Go into Documents, into the game you're wanting to put it in, and you've got one here called Mod, and you can see I've just got one in there, which is that pink Porsche that I was using the other day on one of my videos, if you've seen that. Okay, now once you've got your mods that you've downloaded using just a search function in your mod folder, you see the ones that from the workshop you don't need to put into your mod folder here. Okay, they're automatically going to be in the game once you've subscribed to those mods. Then you go into your game. So we launch the game here. Now I assume that you have to have the game on Steam to use those workshop ones. So if you've got the game on disc, you probably can't use that. Okay. Once we go into the game here, Okay. Okay. Then you go into DLC browser. Into mods. Okay, and all the ones that are either in your mod folder or that you've subscribed to will show up here, and then you just use the you can click on one and add it in over here. This is the active mods list here, so just because it's showing here as a big square, that's not going to make it work. You've actually got to make it active over here. Okay, so what you do is you click on one, and to give you an example, let's take the Porsche out for a second. So now I've just taken that out, so it's still showing here because I've still got it in my mods folder, but there's no green square there, which means it's not in here, which means it's not going to work. Okay, so what I need to do is highlight it here and then choose the add it in. And I think this is for it taking everything out or putting everything in at once. And once you've got it added in, some mods need to be in a certain priority order. So I don't know if any of these ones do or not, but what I did is I just put them in the priority order of how important it was to me to have them. And once they're in this bit here, then when you go into the game, it will, I don't want to confirm changes, so I just, do you really want to exit the mod manager? Yes, I do. Excellent. And it shows you there the number you got active at the time. So as I said, you can have some in here that are in here but are not active. Okay, so good, and that's how you load mods into either Euro Truck Simulator 2 or American Truck Simulator. Now, the other thing I thought I'd have a very, very quick discussion with is because AK also asked me what the differences are between the two games. So apart from the obvious one, which is you're driving in a different country. Okay, so apart from that one difference, ETS2 is obviously the cab over trucks like that, whereas ATS is the long nose trucks. And with the, I'm just going in so I can show you something with the map. I won't be able to actually drive at the moment because I forgot to connect my steering wheel up before loading the game. But I just want to show you something. So, because with ATS, I don't know as much about ATS, and if I'd made this video earlier today before I watched Driver's latest ATS video, I would have said one of the differences is, okay, sorry, I'm going to need to put my steering wheel on. So it's going to come up here saying I've just connected an Xbox controller because it recognises my steering wheel as being an Xbox controller, even though it's actually a steering wheel. So here we go. If we go into, so yeah, if I'd made this video earlier today, I would have said there's no ferries in ATS. But Driver's latest video, he shows that there are. So that's no longer a difference. I thought it was, but it's no longer one. So what we do have here though, is if I go into the world map, it was asking me about the DLC packs. So if I scroll out for a second, what you can see on this world map, everywhere that the yellow lines are where I've driven, okay, the white lines are roads I haven't driven down, and you can see countries. Now, where it's got the outline of country here, that means it's a DLC pack that I don't own yet. So in this case, like Ireland hasn't even been released yet, but it's already on the map there because it's going to be released shortly. And I'll be buying a download pack that's going to give me all of this area shortly, probably later today. But one of the interesting things with the DLC packs, so like for example the Russia DLC pack hasn't actually been released yet. They held it up presumably because of the war. But you see we can get into the very, very edge of Russia here. So I've got Petersburg there, and I've got a few other Russian cities there, but I can't get into the most of Russia at the moment because I haven't got the Russian DLC. It's actually not been released yet. Okay, and say here, this is the DLC pack I'm planning on buying this afternoon, but you can see I can get into the very edge of the country here already, but I can't get into the most of it. So that's the way it works when you don't own a DLC pack. Now I don't know whether ATS does it the same way or not, whereas you can get into the very edge of a different state that you haven't bought, or whether you've just got no access to that state whatsoever. But with ETS2 at least, it lets you into the very edge of some of these countries without owning the DLC pack, but then to explore the country further, you've got to buy the DLC pack. So you can see the countries I do own here. You can also get an idea from this map, because AK was asking me what countries ETS2 actually covers. That's why I want to bring up this map, just to show you all the countries you can see the outlines of here. You can drive into if you own the correct DLC, but the Russian DLC isn't available yet, so you can't drive into Russia proper. You can only get into the very edge of it here. And the Irish DLC pack, so you can see Ireland down here, is again not available yet, so you can't even get into the very edge of Ireland yet. But so you can see there the countries that are covered by it. Now there are a few other differences I noticed between the two, but they're almost identical. So I am going to quickly cover off the differences that I'm aware of. Okay, American Truck Simulator has way stations. I've never ever seen a way station in Euro Truck Simulator, so I don't think there are any. Perhaps there aren't way stations in Europe, I'm not sure, or perhaps the way stations are at the borders of the different countries. I'm really not certain there. I know in New Zealand we do have way stations, but of course we don't have New Zealand on this map, so we can't drive in New Zealand here, and I seriously doubt that it ever gets to New Zealand. I can't imagine that you drive a truck even to Australia. You know, I can't imagine there'd be any way of getting a truck from Australia to Europe apart from in a big ship, and so you wouldn't have a load you carry. But it would be interesting if they ever made Australia for this map, then they'd probably do New Zealand as well. They'd probably do it as one DLC pack and call it Pacifica or something like that, or Australasia perhaps. But I don't think they'll ever do Australia, and if they don't ever do Australia, then they won't ever do New Zealand. Okay, so way stations is one difference. Now, when I did play American Truck Simulator last, which was quite a long time ago, there were no borders between the different states of America, so you could just drive between states without even realising it, quite possibly. Although I assume that when they get South America and Canada into American Truck Simulator, which are both coming, I understand, at some point in the future, that you will have borders that you have to stop at there. Now, on this one, often you have countries that are in the European Union, you can drive just between without realising you've crossed a border. So let's say you want to drive from France to Germany. Yeah, you can do that. You're not stopping at any borders to have your passport checked or anything like that. But there's some areas, so when you're driving into Russia, into the very edge of Russia that I can get to, there's definitely borders that you have to cross to move into Russia. Okay, so that's one difference. Now, one thing that I'm not sure if is different or not, in Euro Truck Simulator 2, a lot of countries seem to have slightly different road rules. So, for example, in some countries you have to have your lights on, otherwise you'll be fined, and others you don't. Now, I'm not familiar with all the different road rules that different countries have, so I normally leave my lights off until I get a fine, and I'll turn them on if I get fined for not having them on, and things like that. Now, I don't know whether different states have different road rules or not. Well, I know some must, because I know that some states in America have where you can turn, you can turn right on red, and other states you can't. You get a ticket for turning right on red. Now, one of my American friends have a better idea as to which states allow you to turn right on red and which ones don't. Again, I have no idea, so if I go back to American Truck Simulator now, I'll either never turn right on red, even when I'm actually allowed to, or I'll start getting into the habit of always turning right on red and picking up fines for driving through a red light sometimes. Okay? So yeah, there are different rules in different countries here, and you are expected to obey the rules of different countries, and some of them have different speeds and things like that. So if you're not familiar with all the rules of the different European countries, like I'm not, expect to pick up a few fines along the way. Now, you see, an interesting thing here, because coming soon for this one is the Coaches DLC pack. We can drive big buses instead of trucks if you want to. And I will be buying that DLC pack when it comes out. As far as I know, there's no Coaches pack due out for American Truck Simulator in the near future, but that could change. Whereas American Truck Simulator has a couple of car packs coming out soon. One that's a Dodge pack and one that's a Ford pack. There's been no car packs introduced for Euro Truck Simulator. So as far as I know, there's none on their way for this game. And that is actually why I went searching for some cars and things. It was actually thanks to Driver. He did a video with a pickup truck, doing hot shot loads on this game. And I thought, oh, I want to do that. So I asked him about how to find that. And then when I went looking for it, that's when I actually found that Porsche, the one that you might have seen on one of my previous videos. I painted it pink. So yes, you can do, you can have cars on Euro Truck Simulator. They're not official DLC packs, but you can. And I wasn't aware of that. So I'm quite pleased to have found that. So that's another difference, is that sometimes the DLC packs do change a wee bit between the two games. But pretty much the two games, because they're made by the same company, of course, they are pretty much identical. Okay, as I said, the weight bridges are different, the weight bridges. Certainly Euro Truck Simulator seems to use ferries a lot more than American Truck Simulator does. Euro Truck Simulator, you also have to change what side of the road you're driving on. If you go over to the UK and Ireland when it's there, you'll be driving on the left. When you cross, either using the channel, which is the Channel Tunnel, or the ferry to go across to France, then you'll suddenly be driving on the right instead of the left. But apart from those few small differences I've named, as far as I'm aware, both games are identical in pretty much every way. So I'll finish this video now and catch up with you all again later. Thank you very much. Bye.